The good vibes are gone. After a solid 9-2 stretch by the Chicago Bulls, the Bulls have now lost 2 in a row and got blown out by almost 30 against the OKC Thunder. We're going to talk about it all and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily Chicago Bulls podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls Central, Chicago Bears Central YouTube pages, and podcasts. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. With that said, y'all, let's get into it for today. I know the game happened last night, but the Bulls, 28-point loss to the OKC Thunder. The Bulls at points in this game were down by as much as 40. And just to highlight how bad this game was, especially in the first half for the Chicago Bulls, the Bulls scored 40 points in the entirety of the first half. The OKC Thunder scored 45 points alone in the second quarter of this game. That means that just one quarter, the OKC Thunder outscored the Chicago Bulls in the entirety of a half of game of basketball. The Bulls allowed for back-to-back 40-point quarters in the second and third quarter, where they scored 45 in the second, 40 in the third quarter. This was not a game. This was an exhibition of dominance by the OKC Thunder, and the Bulls just weren't prepared. Despite all the good vibes, despite how well Josh Giddey and Coby White have been playing, the OKC Thunder stopped every single thing positively that Josh Giddey and Coby White could do. Coby was basically completely shut out the game. Josh Giddey still almost had a triple-double as far as on the stat sheet, but it was an inefficient triple-double per what we've it wasn't triple-double, but it was a very inefficient night for what we've used to be seeing from Josh Giddey. And the OKC Thunder, for what it's worth, they used every single wing defender that they have in the best possible way, right? That when Coby White, the way Coby White and Josh Giddey have been striving and thriving off penetration, they did not let them see the paint in this game. This was an exhibition. This was a show of utter dominance. That's what this was. And, it is what it is, right? We knew that the Bulls weren't in the class of the OKC Thunder. They've been blowing out teams all season long. The Bulls are just the latest victim of that. But how listless the Chicago Bulls looked last night, it was just disappointing to see. I came into this game just wanting to see the Chicago Bulls be competitive. That's all I really wanted to see in this game. If the Bulls were able to be competitive, that was enough for me in this basketball game. But they snatched away that competitive hope that I had literally from the onstart of this game. When you look at it from the OKC Thunder, I want to focus a little bit. A lot we just focus on just the Bulls and what they do bad or what they do good. But I do want to spend some time, because I do enjoy basketball, talking about how good the scheme was by the OKC Thunder, right? Mike Dangle, a coach that was on basically nobody's radar before Billy Donovan added him to his coaching staff. For him to turn into one of the best X's and O's coach in the game of basketball, especially on his defensive scheming, is amazing. Shai had 27 points and basically 2.5 quarters worth of work. He did not have to work the entire game. He had that 12 assists in this game as well, 2 blocks. It is what it is there. 23 points from Jalen Williams, who's having himself a really good season. 31 points from Isaiah Joe coming off the bench in this game. But like I said, the stat sheet doesn't even really do a great indication. Like, they shot 53% from the field, 53% from three-point range. They got to the free throw line 23 times. The Bulls turned the ball over 19 times in the game against the OKC Thunder. They thrived off points and off turnovers. They thrived on points in the paint. They completely and utterly killed the Chicago Bulls in every level of the game of basketball. That's what this was. And it was disgusting, man. It was disgusting what happened here. And the way that the Thunder create a scheme where it's like they try to force you into what you don't do well. And that was a big part for the Chicago Bulls yesterday. Because the Bulls could not get any penetration in the paint like they're used to, The Bulls had to settle for taking 51 3-pointers, in which they only made 16 of them. They shot the ball, I think it was like 15% from three in the first half of this game. They finished at 31%. And a lot of that was due to, in garbage time, Bulls players thrived in garbage time. Javon Carter went 5 of 11 from three-point range in garbage time. You take that away, the Bulls went, 10 of what? No, less than 10. Yeah, about 10 of like 40. Like, the Bulls shot the ball bad. Everything was bad last night, y'all. And the way the Thunder forced the Chicago Bulls into taking bad threes is they played perfectly into the Thunder's hands. And I know I've seen a lot of people criticize Billy Donovan and say, well, Billy Donovan should have schemed it better. Well, you got to have the personnel, right? You didn't have Kevin Huerter, who's a really good three-point shooter. Patrick Williams, he had a good stat line, but like he was 4 of 8 from three-point line. But a lot of that came in garbage time as well for Patrick Williams. He was the garbage time merchant in this game. Him and THT. This was just a bad basketball game, y'all. It was a bad game by the Chicago Bulls. They lost it in every way possible that you could possibly lose a game. 65 points off the bench for the OKC Thunder, 54 points in the paint for the OKC Thunder, 16 off second chance points, 23 fast break points yesterday, 34 points off turnovers last night. All of that. It's disgusting. It's honestly disgusting watching the Chicago. And again, it's disgusting in the way that like you just want to see your team compete. I didn't expect the Bulls to win this game. But this is a big wake-up call. Like, and I think some Bulls fans needed this. And the reason why I say that, right? I'm never one to root against my team. That will never happen. But I am one that has a level of awareness about and is real, right? There are some Bulls fans that had convinced themselves this Bulls team could push or make it interesting against the Cleveland Cavaliers if they did make it out the first round. They could be competitive. But as far as like maybe make it look good for a couple of quarters. But this team is far off from being in the upper echelon teams. Very, very far off from that. And we're still a team that's still trying to lay out the building blocks of us to just be a team that is formidable. Now, I will say this. I still think a lot of what the Bulls have done here, they're still playing they've still played some really good basketball. They still are one of the teams in that playing area that's playing the best. Orlando Magic seem to be waking up. But this kind of it was a course correct. And the Bulls have another one of these when they face off against the Cleveland Cavaliers next week, right? So, yeah, we have another game tonight against the Toronto Raptors, which we'll talk a little bit about here going forward. But it's just this is one of those days that sometimes you just need a reminder of exactly where you are in life, right? Exactly where you are. You just have one of those days. And this was just one of those games and one of those games for the Chicago Bulls. MB says, I know this has nothing to do with the game, but what do you think is Coby White and Josh Giddey ceiling? I don't know yet. I think that they still have a lot to show to prove that they can be consistent together, right? We've seen a really good stretch of that. We saw really bad stretches of it this season as well. So I can't individually. I think individually, Coby can be maybe a 1B, probably a 2 on a really, really good team, right? Josh Giddey has the potential to be an all-star, as does Coby White, especially with Josh Giddey's ability to like get near a triple-double and average near that. But Josh Giddey has to be consistent to do it. And I don't say that to like trigger any Josh Giddey fans, but again, I'm a fan. I should say stands, not fans. Fans are cool. But it just Giddey has to be. If he ever wants to be a star, you got to do it consistently. You got to do it consistently against really good teams, right? That's the way that I look at it. Kevin Huerter is an important piece for this team, Haize. He spreads the floor for Coby and Josh. Do you agree? Here's the thing. Kevin Huerter has not shot the ball well, and I think sometimes we forget that. He hasn't shot the ball well really at all. He's shooting like 32% from three. But the threat of Kevin Huerter, because you still have to respect him out there at the three-point line, it definitely opens up some space for the Bulls, 100%. And outside of just the shooting, he has played really good defense. He's passed the ball really well. He's played really good in the team concept. So, yeah, Kevin Huerter has been big for this team. Kevin is definitely a valuable piece for this team. I completely agree with you, MB. Completely agree with you. Listen, OKC have embarrassed us a lot of times. There's a reason for their net rating is so high. Yes, they have a generationally high net rating. And I don't say that like they have, if they finish the season the way they've been playing, they'll have the best net rating in the history of the game of basketball. So, we'll see. Well, in the NBA. So we'll see how that continues. But all right, y'all, we're going to get into a break here. We're going to get into a message from a couple of our sponsors. And the first one is Monarch Money. Got to clear that comment. Give me a second. All right. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on merch, and now I budget even smarter and save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track your shared personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control over your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. I was going to talk to you guys about another one of our sponsors. That is Prize Picks. Baseball season is in full swing, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with Prize Picks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With Prize Picks, you pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, Prize Picks keeps every game exciting. This week, I'm picking Aaron Judge for more than 1 home run and Shohei Ohtani for more than 1 stolen base. It's that easy. Setting up a lineup takes less than 60 seconds, and when you win, your payout is quick, safe, and secure. Always take advantage of Taco Tuesday, where PrizePicks offers discounts on select player projections and for even more value. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 off instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 off after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Or Locked On Bulls coming up next. All right, Bulls fans. Thank you guys for hanging out with your boy Haize. I want to make sure you guys know that Locked On Bulls does have a free and daily newsletter. All you got to do is go to lockedondaily.com to get the free Locked On Bulls daily newsletter written by your homie Haize. With that said, all right, let's get into it, man. I want to talk about Coby and Josh Giddey, right? I kind of touched on their play a little bit in the first segment of the game. I do want to talk about them mainly because they have been such a driving force for the Chicago Bulls. I talked with Pat on yesterday's episode that Josh Giddey and Coby White have been contributing 60% of the Chicago Bulls offense when you add in points scored and points generated off assist, right? They've accounted for almost 60% of the Chicago Bulls total points scored. And that's not a little number, with the Bulls having the seventh highest scoring offense in the game of basketball. So they've been contributing a huge amount to what the Bulls do offensively, right? And so when you are able to disrupt that, it really does throw off the entire team. That's part of what we saw last night. And these are the ways that Coby and Josh Giddey are going to have to learn to be better. Coby White was almost non-existent. He played 23 minutes. He only took 5 shots. You need more from that from Coby. The OKC Thunder, they snatched every bit of the confidence that we've been seeing from these guys and took it away. They just did. Now, initially in this game, the OKC Thunder went on a 7-4 run. The Chicago Bulls matched that with their own 7-4 run, and they actually were playing with some confidence during that run, but it all went away very quickly after that. And that's where the problem lays in at, right? Now, we understand. I've said it multiple times before. Some of the Josh Giddey stands hate it when I say it, but it's true. So I'm going to keep saying it as long as it's true. Josh Giddey is a confidence player. He's been riding with his confidence extremely high. I don't know if the Dallas game is what shook his confidence, or he was looking to this game and he kind of knew going to OKC the moment and what things were going to be at there. But it was clear that Josh Giddey's confidence wavered. Now, I feel like he still put up some solid numbers, but some of that also did come in garbage time. But when you have Coby and Josh Giddey combining to go 8 of 20 from the field, that's not going to cut it. They went 8 of 20 from the field. They went to combine 2 of 7 from three-point range. It's not going to cut it. Like, shout out to Josh Giddey for still getting 15 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds, 1 steal. The stat sheet looks good. But this is where coming in and watching the game is more important than looking at the stat sheet. Because you could see that Josh Giddey was super frustrated in this game. All the different looks that they threw at Josh Giddey, it frustrated him as this game went on and on. And it was evident. And Coby, I mean, after about the halfway through the second quarter, Coby was done. I mean, I hate to say it, but Coby was done. And so for a team and 2 players that have been so important for being the engine and motor of the Chicago Bulls, they got to find a way to be better. Like, and I get it. It's easy to say that, right? It's a lot harder to actually have the usual performance when you're facing off against a juggernaut defensively like the OKC Thunder. It was an absolute juggernaut. And I understand that. I'm not taking away from that. It is, right? But whether it's you fighting through, you coming up with schemes, coaching, and our best players failed us last night. They just did. And those things, when you have those things that all go into the same mode, it's a problem, man. It's definitely a problem. Giddey doesn't want to pull the trigger on threes. Well, Giddey has not been afraid to pull the trigger on threes for the majority of the season. Last night's game, they definitely got in his head. Definitely got in his head. You can't take that away from it. Bulls Daily says, morning, big brother. Chicago traffic, no joke this time of day. Thanks for keeping me sane. Going 10 miles per hour would drive me crazy. That's one thing I'm not looking forward to moving back to Chicago is the traffic, right? I'm not looking forward to it, but I got to get back to my city. I just like it's in my spirit, right? I haven't, like sometimes you just gotta touch back to the root, right? And yeah. Haize, this game shows that besides Coby White and Josh, somebody else has to step up. Yeah, I mean, and it's also how, right? And so, like, one of the things that's been very evident and clear, like the Bulls still need a number one. They still need a number one. And maybe that grows in the team. Maybe Matas turns into that guy. Maybe Josh, maybe Coby turns into that guy. But until you get that guy on the team that just, no matter what a defense throws at him, they find a way to be productive, it's going to be a struggle. And it's going to continue to be a struggle. So, but, talking about, like, let's talk a little bit about Matas. Matas was one of the few players that had energy. Like, Matas was getting to that place of having a rookie wall. And then it's like he found his second win. And he's been back on point, right? Now, it wasn't the greatest game for Matas Buzelis. 5 of 12 from the field, 14 points, 7 assists, 1 rebound, 1 steal, 4 blocks. Really good that he was still being active, right? These are important moments for Matas Buzelis to gain XP. This is an important time for him to continue to grow and develop his game, understand what it takes to be, because Matas is going to be one of those guys that next season, he's going to go from being a part of what the Chicago Bulls are doing to he's going to be a key cog as far as in the game plan. You still look at it, still at times this season, Billy Donovan isn't really drawing up plays for Matas Buzelis. He's doing that a little bit more. He's letting Matas put the ball on the floor a little bit more. Those are all really good things. But there's still whole sections of games where Matas is basically just going, he's either standing in the corner taking the open three, or just by the nature of how active and moving around he is, he gets a couple of easy buckets that way. But I really expect, I hope I should say at least, that next season that they're scheming Matas, meaning that they're drawing up plays for him to take players off the dribble. They're drawing up plays for him to come off more screens, set more screens, do a pick and pop, right? Those type of things are going to be important for Matas in year 2. And I really expect this coaching staff to really work on, because Matas is a really good dribbler. He doesn't get a chance to dribble a lot. He needs to work on creating his own shot. 80% of Matas Buzelis's field goals this season have been assisted. I need to see that more towards 60% next year, because as a big, right, still playing the 4, if he's still playing the 4, you're still going to have a lot of shots generated off assists for you, right? But if Matas can go from 80% of his shots being assisted to about 60 to 62%, that tells me that he's doing a lot more of that creation himself. And that's really how you build that game in Matas Buzelis, and that's what you really need to do. So let's hope that we start seeing that from Matas next season. But, Matas is Matas, man. I have a lot of love for Matas Buzelis. I think that he is such a special player, right? And I love that he's starting to get his notice of being probably the best player to come out that draft class. And we'll see how it goes. I think this is going to be one of those draft classes that you have to look on 3 and 4 years down the road to see who developed, who moved teams, who got different coaches, things like that. But Matas is right up there with anybody else. And there was a reason why initially he was expected to be the number 1 overall pick. If Matas would have been able to come out of high school, he probably no, because that draft would have been who was the number 1 pick in the 2023 draft? Somebody real quick. Off the top of y'all head, who was the number 1 pick in the 2023 draft? I don't know if Matas would have been number 1 in that draft, but he probably would have been top 5 in that draft. I don't remember off the top of my head, but we'll see what happens there. But we still got to get into a message from another one of our sponsors. Got to get into a message from Game Time. There's nothing like watching basketball live. The energy of the crowd, the sound of the sneakers on the hardwood, and maybe even a celebrity sighting courtside. No more Megan Thee Stallion at Bulls games, man. That hurts. That hurts. If you want to catch a game in person, Game Time makes getting tickets easier than ever. Game Time's new feature called Game Time Picks filters out the fluff and shows you only the best deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time scrolling through thousands of tickets. I just checked the Game Time app, and there are amazing deals for the matchup tonight at home against the Toronto Raptors. Game Time Picks even highlights super deals, giving you the best bang for your buck. With seat views, before you buy, no surprise fees, and a lowest price guarantee, you can book with total confidence. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. More Locked On Bulls coming up next. All right, Bulls fans. Can the Bulls bounce back tonight when they take on the Toronto Raptors? Now, the Toronto Raptors are actually a hot team right now. They've won 4 out of the last 5. They won 4 games in a row. And the last thing that the Bulls can afford is to have a letdown after already losing 2 games in a row. Keep in mind, the Toronto Raptors technically aren't ruled out for playing contention yet. They're the only team that's not officially eliminated from playing contention. They're 5 games behind the Chicago Bulls. They basically have to win out. The Bulls would almost have to lose out for that to happen. I don't expect that to happen. But with the Bulls dropping down back to the 10th seed with the Miami Heat winning, shout out to the Miami Heat, also on a 5-game winning streak. Shout out to them. That this is an important game for the Chicago Bulls, right? This has turned into one of those games that were on the schedule that you look at and you're like, oh, we're facing off against the Raptors. The Raptors have sucked all season. So the Raptors are actually playing some solid basketball right now. Now, they have not beat the best competition, right? I want to be clear there. It's not like they've been beating the Thunder or anything like that. Their last 4 wins are against Washington, Brooklyn, Charlotte, and Philly, right? So not a lot of great competition there. But let's not act like this is a Bulls team that has always beat the teams that they were supposed to take care of business against. So the Bulls have to really be prepared today. And when you look at this game against Toronto for the Bulls, the Bulls schedule was easier, meaning that when you look at it, they don't have the best competition. They got Toronto, then we got Portland and Charlotte after that before we face off against Cleveland on Tuesday, next Tuesday, which the schedule and hold the Bulls, man, at the end of the season. Why do we have? They didn't know it. I'm just being dramatic. We got a game against Cleveland on Tuesday, and then we got a back-to-back. After that, we face Miami the next day, the very next day at home. And that game could be the game that seals in who's going to be the 10th seed potentially. So the Bulls cannot afford to drop games against teams that they should be able to beat. They can't afford it right now. And so I know all my pro tankers are hoping like, yes, Bulls, shut everybody down. Say, oh, Wemby, yeah, oh yeah. Thanks for that. Like how quick I forget Wemby. Yeah, he definitely wasn't going to go number 1 over Wemby. He probably went top 5 though, for sure. But but yeah, this is a very, very important night for the Chicago Bulls, man. Especially because now I do want to see the Bulls compete in the play-in. I do want to see the Bulls see what they have, right, to be that measuring stick, and see where we are at. If we don't make it out the play-in, cool, we get a lottery pick. If we do make it out the play-in, we get the luxury of getting destroyed by the Cleveland Cavaliers, right? But this is a very important game. Zach Collins. What happened? Zach Collins an improvement on Vooch, but the Bulls need better. Yeah, I mean, listen, I hope that the Bulls do draft a center. Now, I'm still at the place where I think the Bulls got to go best available. Whoever they have ranked as the best player on their board when they pick, that's who they need to take. I don't care about the position. Now, I don't think that you have to take a point guard or shooting guard. So I think you're either looking at small forwards, power forwards, or centers, but whoever they have as the best player available, that's who they need to take, in my personal opinion, because I think if you can get a 3 that can go next to Matas, great. If you can get a 4 that can move Matas to the 3, even better. I think Matas is a long-term 3, at least for like the first half of his career. He may transition to 4, kind of like KD did later on. And then, of course, center. You got Asa Newell, Derek Queen. One of those guys may fall to the Bulls, especially if they're, at the lower end of the lottery. I like the concept of that. So we'll see what the Bulls do there. Kaman Malowick, of course, is a dream for the Bulls. Has the highest probably ceiling, but doesn't have as high of a floor. But, we'll see. Again, we'll do our draft coverage in the offseason. You guys know we'll be covering that. But this is an important game against the Toronto Raptors today. Let's hope the Bulls can get a dub. But that's my time for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. You guys can follow me at CEO Haize. You can follow the Locked On Bulls collectively at Locked On Bulls. We are free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube, the Odyssey app, Amazon Fire TV, Roku TV, Fubo TV. We're available everywhere. If you want to see Locked On Bulls on one of your favorite streaming services, sites, and or apps, we're probably there. Thank you guys for tuning in. Love you guys. See you guys after the game tonight, as long as my voice holds up. That's why we didn't do an episode last night. Voice is kind of shaky right now, but love you guys. Go Bulls. See y'all tonight. Peace.